With a show called Chrisley Knows Best, viewers can only hope that there is some sort of advice given from time to time. In a recent episode, Todd Chrisley gives his son some advice for getting into a good mood. Keep reading to find out the reality television star's life-changing secret. Ahead of a recent episode of Chrisley Knows Best, the Chrisley USA Instagram account shares a clip. It looks like Todd accompanies Chase to the spa. Chase is donning a plush, white robe as his dad spills a life-changing secret. The clip begins with Todd telling Chase that he is in such a good mood today. Unfazed, Chase says, "Well, that's rare." "So why?" That's when Todd lets his son in on a life-changing secret. While pointing down, Todd just says, "These pants." Luckily for Chase and fans, the Chrisley Knows Best patriarch doesn't keep people in suspense. Todd elaborates with, "These are the softest pants that I have ever bought." So Todd's middle son has to find out for himself. Chase confirms that the pants are very soft. Then Todd makes the bold statement that it changes your life. He also encourages Chase to go buy some. In the comments section, one fan speculates that Chase won't buy his own soft, life-changing pants. Instead, he'll take them out of his father's closet. Another fan wants to know why Chase should buy the pants when he can just take them from his dad. While Todd didn't leave Chase in suspense about the life-changing pants, he did leave his fans there. Inquiring minds want to know more about the pants. Some of the comments are as follows. Other fans theorize that Todd bringing up his soft, life-changing pants is just a ruse. This is because Chase is about to have cupping done. According to WebMD, cupping therapy is an ancient form of alternative medicine in which a therapist puts special cups on your skin for a few minutes to create suction. Some of the health benefits from cupping are help with pain, inflammation, blood flow, relaxation, and well-being, and as a type of deep tissue massage. Do you think Todd was sincere in his life-changing pants advice? Or do you think it was all just a ruse to distract Chase from cupping? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Make sure to come back to TV shows Ace for more Chrisley Knows Best news. Tune into USA Network on Thursdays for a new episode of Chrisley Knows Best, followed by a new episode of Growing Up Chrisley. The late summer sun filtered through the blinds of the Chrisley estate, casting golden ribbons across the polished floors. A rare hush hung over the home. No buzzing phones, no reality TV chaos, no sudden outbursts. It was as if the walls themselves held their breath in anticipation. Todd Chrisley paced the length of the grand living room, a smile tugging relentlessly at the corners of his mouth. Every now and then he glanced toward the staircase, as if expecting a trumpet blast to announce his son's arrival. Todd was never one to hold back emotion, but this moment carried a weight and glee he hadn't felt in years. Excitement pulsed through his chest like a second heartbeat. He had rehearsed this moment in his mind a dozen times already, cycling through all the ways to break the news. But now, as the moment loomed, even the master of dramatic reveals found himself nearly speechless, not with uncertainty, but with sheer joy. Chase Chrisley entered the room with the same casual confidence he had inherited from his father, though his steps faltered slightly as he noticed the gleam in Todd's eyes. There was something electric in the air, a shift that no one could mistake. Chase knew his father well enough to recognize when something monumental was about to unfold. Todd's expression radiated more than happiness. It radiated freedom, clarity, and something deeper, something that looked almost spiritual. He moved to the center of the room, positioning himself where the light could catch his face, as though the moment demanded a spotlight. He took a slow, deliberate breath and let the words pour out, not like confetti, but like a long-lost treasure finally unearthed. The revelation had nothing to do with wealth, fame, or scandal. It wasn't a secret deal, or a new show, or a fresh real estate venture. No, it was something quieter, yet infinitely more profound. Todd shared that after years of conflict, confusion, and relentless self-scrutiny, he had discovered a truth about himself that changed everything. It was a truth that had been buried beneath the layers of curated perfection, beneath the sarcastic charm and designer suits, hidden even from himself. The room seemed to expand as the secret filled it, stretching its corners with new light. Chase listened, motionless, while the weight of his father's words settled in the air between them. This wasn't just a new chapter. It was a completely different book. For years, Todd had lived in a fortress of expectations, his own and his those of the public eye. But inside that fortress, cracks had begun to form. Quiet moments of doubt, sudden, inexplicable tears, long stares into the mirror that didn't reflect the man he thought he knew. Over time, those cracks turned into fissures and finally into a full collapse. What emerged from that rubble was not a broken man, but a reborn one. Todd revealed that he had spent the past year working with therapists, exploring identities and emotions he had never fully acknowledged. The experience had been both terrifying and liberating. At first, he resisted the journey, questioning whether it was too late to change, too late to understand, too late to become. But the more he leaned in, the more alive he felt. He described the process not as a transformation, but a return to something that had always been there, quietly waiting to be seen. He wasn't just proud of who he had become. He was proud of himself for finally choosing to live truthfully, regardless of the cost. The revelation wasn't met with silence or resistance. Chase, though visibly shaken, showed an emotional maturity that would have surprised even himself. His initial surprise gave way to admiration, then to something softer and more powerful: acceptance. He recognized the courage it had taken for his father to peel back the layers and stand exposed. And in that moment, something shifted between them, not a loss of respect, but a deepening of it. The air was lighter now, the energy different. What began as a confession unfolded into a celebration. Todd's words had not only declared a new truth, they had shattered a generational curse of silence. No longer would image override authenticity. No longer would fear dictate identity. They spoke at length, but not everything needed to be said aloud. Some of the understanding passed through glances, nods, the subtle but unmistakable signs of shared DNA and shared history. The bond between them didn't just remain intact. It grew stronger, fortified by honesty. Todd explained how the journey had changed everything, not just in his private world, but in how he viewed life itself. He had re-evaluated his priorities, realigned his goals, and reimagined his future. Where once he sought control, he now sought connection. Where he once wore perfection like armor, he now embraced vulnerability like a crown. For Chase, it was a moment of reckoning, too. He realized that the pedestal he had placed his father on was no longer needed. Todd didn't need to be a flawless icon. He only needed to be real. And in his realness, he became more than a role model. He became a beacon. The day wore on, but the sense of occasion never faded. Later, Savannah joined them, and then the rest of the family filtered in, drawn by some invisible signal that something extraordinary had occurred. And one by one, they were let in on the secret, not with fanfare, but with sincerity. The reactions varied, as emotions do. But the dominant note in the symphony of responses was love. In the weeks that followed, Todd's revelation became more than just a family affair. He made the decision to go public, not for applause or spectacle, but for the quiet hope that his story might offer light to someone else stumbling through the dark. He knew what it meant to feel trapped, to perform instead of live, to wonder if authenticity was too dangerous a risk. Now he stood on the other side of that fear, and he wanted others to know that the view was worth it. The world, predictably, had its opinions. Some cheered, some jeered, but Todd stood undeterred. For the first time in his life, he wasn't seeking approval, he was speaking from a place so anchored in truth that the noise barely registered. Chase stood by him through it all, not just as a son, but as a friend, a witness to courage, and a man forever changed by the unfolding of a deeper truth. The Chrisley home, once a monument to polished exteriors, now hummed with the warmth of real connection. Laughter returned, not the performative kind, but the unfiltered belly-deep kind that only comes when people stop pretending. Conversations deepened. Silences became comfortable. And beneath it all pulsed the heartbeat of a family finally, irrevocably aligned with the truth. And so the chapter closed on one life and opened on another. Not a reinvention, not a brand refresh, but a revelation of the soul. Todd Chrisley, ever the showman, had delivered the greatest performance of his life by stepping off the stage and into himself. And in doing so, he gave those who loved him, not just his family, but his audience, the permission to do the same.